So summer is basically knocking on the door, and I don't know about you, but I want to be planning trips, thinking about where I'm going, what I'm doing, not sitting there in the back of my mind wondering, can I actually afford this? And I've had summers like that before, where you're trying to enjoy yourself, but there's this low-level stress about money that just follows you around. I didn't want that to be this year. So I've been getting a lot more intentional about actually organizing my finances. Monarch is the personal finance app that tracks everything: accounts, investments, savings goals, and spending. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code Wife of Crime. I love that Monarch keeps an eye on everything, so I don't have to. I had one of those moments where I realized my spending in a couple categories had slowly crept up without me even realizing it. So it really feels like you have a financial advisor right in your pocket. The weekly recap will flag things before they become a problem, and the visual breakdown of where your money is going each month is humbling, but in a good way. So use code Wife of Crime at monarch.com to get your first year half off. That's just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code Wife of Crime.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix's Remarkably Bright Creatures. What if a Pacific octopus held the key to a mystery that could heal your heart? Well, that's Tova's reality. An elderly widow working at an aquarium. Tova forms an unlikely friendship with the curmudgeonly Marcellus, whose remarkable intelligence leads her to a life-changing discovery. Remarkably Bright Creatures is now playing, only on Netflix.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, all the way back in 2021, I first told you about the case of Alec Murdaugh. We were one of the first true crime podcasts to talk about it, and I just knew this thing was going to blow up. Well, this week, Alec Murdaugh is back in the news because his conviction was overturned. So I'm going to tell you everything I know about that, and then we're going to rewind and go back to 2021 when this all started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
Sup, folks? It's your boy Russ, a.k.a. Get My Pessy, a.k.a. Get My Whiskey, a.k.a. The Wheel Deal.
The Wheel Deal.
Well, you know, I be wheeling and dealing.
And I'm Jess, and we're back for an episode that we've decided to call Wife of Crime Rewind.
But not in an annoying way like Funk Flex does it. We won't like start the episode's first 3 seconds and just hit rewind 40 times in a row.
No.
We're just going to play the episode after we're done bullshitting.
We decided with the Murdaugh case that we are going to discuss the new developments because a lot is happening right now. And then after we discuss the new developments, we're going to play our old episode from all the way back in 2021 when we first talked about it.
See, I'm going to have to listen to that episode to know what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he killed his family.
Yeah, so Alex Murdaugh was convicted of murdering his wife and son in 2023. He committed the crimes, or allegedly committed the crimes, in 2021.
And his family's like royalty, basically, somewhere, wherever they're at. They're in charge of a lot of stuff and have money.
Wow, you're really doing good. This Russ recap is impressive, I have to say.
See, I know some stuff, but I don't know like how the people died. I know like he killed his family, and his family had a lot of influence. Not family as in like brothers and sister, but his wife and children, I think.
His wife and one son.
Okay.
And his family, the Murdaugh family, they are from South Carolina, and they are like a dynasty. They are all lawyers, and he was a prosecutor. And this dynasty, they were incredibly influential and incredibly, incredibly rich. So this week, a South Carolina Supreme Court overturned his double murder conviction, and it was a unanimous decision, 5-0.
Wow, they must have put all their family lawyers together because they're all lawyers.
No. So I'll explain to you exactly why the Supreme Court overturned this conviction and what it means for the future of Alec Murdaugh.
Because what I do remember of the case is I feel like it was obvious that he was guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious to me and many people that he's guilty. So back in 2023, he was found guilty of murdering his wife and son in 2021. And we actually covered the case in 2021 as it was unfolding because we were one of the first podcasts to talk about this.
2021?
2021.
After the pandemic? I thought we did it before.
No, we did it after the pandemic. This all happened in 2021, and we covered it as it was unfolding.
Wow.
So we were one of the first true crime podcasts to even talk about this case. And the reason we were is because one of our listeners, her name is Fallon, she is from the town that this all was going down in. And her mom is a bartender there, and she knew all the local gossip.
Yeah, I was about to say, bartenders know everything.
Yes, she had the inside scoop. And so Fallon messaged me all of these articles. She messaged me a podcast by a lady named Mandy Matney, who was an investigative journalist who actually took 3 to 4 years of her life and devoted it to this case. And that podcast is called The Murdaugh Murders. So she goes super in depth. So Fallon sent me episodes from Mandy Matney's podcast, tons of articles, and then she just sent me all the local gossip, that everything her mom has heard from all the people in the town and what Fallon knew of the case.
See, I'm more interested in what the people are saying.
Yeah, exactly. And according to the people, most people in that town believe he was guilty. So after our episode aired, we followed the developments, but not really talked about it too much. We didn't do any more episodes on it. I would just talk about it randomly in the beginning of episodes. Yeah. And then I made a few TikToks and Instagram Reels updating about the case. But that was it. And then the trial happened, and the trial was a sensation. There were a few documentaries put out about this, and then there was even a Hulu series that came out about it.
I remember those coming out, and I was thinking, I'm not watching those because I already know about it.
Well, during our episode, I predicted this was going to blow up. This was going to have documentaries. This was going to have a series. I even said it in our episode.
Damn, we should have been first.
I know.
Netflix, what are you doing?
We were first.
We know everything.
We were one of the first. We weren't the complete
I don't know if we were the first. But anyway, Netflix, send me a check and I'll send you some video of us doing podcasts.
So the trial was a sensation. It blew up. The national media heard about it, and it got huge. During the trial, the clerk of court, Rebecca Hill, was oddly in the spotlight for a court clerk.
Why? Was she hot?
No. So what do clerks of courts do? Let's start there.
Probably just sit by the judge and pass some tissue or something?
No. Clerk of courts are huge. They're actually elected and appointed officials, all right? And they run all of the non-judicial operations of the court.
Wow. So there's some clerks listening to this like, you motherfucker.
For sure.
You thought I was the judge's assistant.
So they kind of are an assistant, but they keep the entire machinery of justice running. And without a competent clerk office, courtrooms will completely stop. Filings will get lost, cases can't be scheduled, records disappear, and everything breaks down.
So it's the court manager.
Yeah, a lot of times they're compared to an offensive lineman in football. All right. Offensive linemen are big, tough. They're unglamorous players. They do the dirty work in the trenches. They block, protect the quarterback, and they absorb punishment on every single play. You rarely hear their names unless they screw up.
True.
Fans and commentators focus on the quarterback, the running back, the receivers, the skilled positions who get all the glory. Clerks of court play the exact same role in the justice system. They're in the trenches, handling the repetitive, essential, grinding work that lets the skill players, like the judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, perform. So as a clerk of court, Rebecca Hill was responsible for managing the jury during this high-profile 6-week trial. She oversaw sequestering them because this jury had to be sequestered because at this point, this had become a huge media frenzy.
Does sequestered mean like they keep them?
No, sequestered means you are put in
like a hotel, yeah, like
isolation.
You got to stay there.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I'd be like, I'm saying this motherfucker's guilty or whatever I'm going to agree with the majority right away because I want to get the fuck out of here.
Well,
you know, you're keeping me in a hotel and giving me $15 a day or whatever. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, they make shit money. Well,
I'd probably get in trouble for sneaking out.
Well, you'd get in a lot of trouble. I think you'd probably get in legal trouble if you did that. You're not allowed to do that. You take an oath.
I'm gonna trash the hotel room or something.
So she was in charge of overseeing sequestering the jurors. She was in charge of all the logistics. And Murdaugh's defense team alleged, and the Supreme Court ultimately agreed, that she improperly influenced jurors in ways that undermine the right to a fair trial. She allegedly told jurors things like, don't be fooled by him, because he took the stand in his own defense. And so she told jurors, don't be fooled by him, watch him closely, pay attention to his body language. She described the day of his testimony to the jurors as important or an epic day, kind of showing them that they need to pay really close attention to him.
I thought it was dumb to go on the stand like in your own case.
Everybody thinks that.
Well, I don't know. That's what everyone always says. But if you got something good to say, then it ain't.
So a lot of people believe that a defendant shouldn't take the stand because jurors are people and they're judging in the moment. And if you act too emotional or not emotional enough, like there's a lot of risk when you take the stand.
Or the lawyers just think you're dumb. This dumbass going to say something stupid.
Or
don't go up there.
Yeah, but mainly it's because of how the jury is going to see you. So he is a prosecutor, and he took the stand in his own defense, and it was a very controversial choice.
Did he get emotional?
Oh yeah, he was crying.
Like put on a whole show?
Yeah, he was crying and stuff on the stand. There were affidavits from jurors that described her suggesting that they should not trust the defense, and she also engaged in other influences, like there were media cocktail parties that she would attend to speak to media.
Oh, she wanted the recognition.
She did, and I'll tell you why.
Oh.
Because just 5 months after the trial ended, she published a book called Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdaugh Murders.
Hey, I ain't mad at her. Make your money.
The book was marketed as a behind-the-scenes account through the eyes of the clerk of court. And it included all kinds of details from the trial, courtroom personnel, visitors, and it featured photos. And it positioned her as this central figure in the trial of the century. She even did a book tour. She went on multiple media outlets talking about this book. One interview that I listened to, she said, God told me to write this book.
Oh, she's one of them.
She said that she's always had a book inside of her, that she knew she was going to write a book one day. And then when this happened, this was her opportunity to write this book that had been inside of her for years. And it just felt really like once you look at interviews that she goes on for this book tour, and then you look at all the things she was telling the jurors at the time, and then you look at how she mingled with media, went to cocktail parties, like she was doing way too much. So reports and court-related findings indicated that she saw the book as an opportunity for monetary success.
Not mad at her, though.
She reportedly expressed desires for things like buying a lake house.
Hey.
And a guilty verdict was viewed by her as boosting book sales. So the book and the promotion became super controversial. She faced accusations of jury interference, and she admitted to plagiarizing part of the book from a BBC reporter's draft.
Hey, yo.
You can't plagiarize.
From the BBC.
That's crazy. So she later pled guilty to charges including obstruction of justice, perjury, and misconduct in office. She had to leave her position as a clerk of court, and she was put on probation.
All this for the book?
Well, not just for the book, Russ. She's being a corrupt clerk. Look what she did.
Yeah.
She influenced jurors in order to later, 5 months later, write a book about this case, putting all the behind-the-scenes shit out there, which, I mean, yeah, that's interesting, but she influenced these jurors in order for them to have a guilty verdict. Yeah, the verdict might have been guilty whether she was involved or not, but this shows that she was trying to influence them. She also mingled with media. You're not supposed to mingle with the media. You're not supposed to go to cocktail parties with the media as the clerk of court. So they put her on probation. So the defense, after this happened, after she was put on probation, the defense appealed Murdaugh's conviction because of Rebecca Hill. They accused her of jury tampering. They requested that his conviction be thrown out and he be given a new trial. And the South Carolina Supreme Court agreed with them. They claimed that this was a violation of his Sixth Amendment right. And our Sixth Amendment right in the Constitution is the right to fair trial, right? The Sixth Amendment covers a speedy trial, a public trial, an impartial jury, which is what she violated, a notice of the charges, a confrontation of the witnesses, which means cross-examination, a process to obtain witnesses, and the right to counsel. So clearly, the impartial jury part of the Sixth Amendment was violated. They described her conduct as shocking and egregious in their decision, and they stated that she placed her fingers on the scales of justice.
I like how they said that. They made it sound bigger than it was.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, but he was guilty regardless. So she didn't even have to influence him. I get it. You shouldn't do that. That's true.
If she wasn't putting herself in this position to influence the jury, we aren't guaranteed that the jury would have 100% convicted him.
That's true.
So the reason his conviction got overturned is because of Rebecca Hill, essentially. And the Supreme Court of the South Carolina agreed with it. And now, he will remain in prison. So I want to make that clear. He was also convicted of financial crimes, and he was sentenced to 40 years for these financial crimes.
I did not know you can get 40 years for financial crimes. That's like longer than a lot of murders. Murder seems to do 20.
Well, he stole tons of money from people.
But I didn't know you could do 40. I thought it was like, the equivalent of a murder.
So he's in prison for this 40-year sentence.
But because he's in prison for this 40-year sentence, that's like a white-collar crime. And the murder probably gets him in maximum security, so now he may be able to switch prisons.
So that's a good point. The other point that people are making right now is, because he'll be in prison until he dies, right? 40 years is a long time. But a lot of people are making the point that by overturning this murder conviction, say they could find a technicality with the other conviction, with the financial crimes conviction, and they could overturn that, or they could get him a way lesser sentence. So people are saying, why retry him for the murder if he's already going to die in jail? Well, the reason is because these financial crimes, like you said, are white-collar crimes. You're not necessarily held in maximum security prison. You might be able to switch prisons, and maybe they could find a technicality with that one too. And then he would end up possibly walking free one day. So they want to retry him for the murders of his wife and son because they want to make sure justice is served.
I get it. So they want to make sure that if they can overturn the other one, at least he's still in jail for the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So the prosecutors are ready to retry the case.
Yeah.
We don't know when that's going to happen, but they're definitely going to take it on.
And that means it'll be in the public eye probably again.
Yeah, it definitely will be in the public eye again. It's just really interesting developments. It's something like once the whole Rebecca Hill thing happened, I expected that this could be a possibility because immediately after the trial, the defense appealed. So we knew that they were planning to appeal.
Because of that, right? Well, they were going to appeal no matter what. But when they saw her, they probably antagonized her to do dumb shit. Like, yo, if you leave this over here, she'll act like this. If you know what I mean?
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see what happens. TBD, to be determined. We don't know where it's going to go from here. But now that we've talked about where this all ended up, let's rewind back to the very beginning, to 2021.
When life was grand.
When life was different for us. And when pretty much no one knew anything about this case. This episode aired on September 14th, 2021.
Yo, Jess, drop that shit.
So corny.
So stupid.
Now, I've gotten a lot of suggestions for cases, like a lot. And I have a very long list. But I have never gotten a case suggestion quite like this one before. I know for a fact that this case will definitely be made into a Netflix documentary or a movie or even a series one day. It involves power, money, multiple murders, corruption. Literally, you name it, this story has it. But the craziest part of all is this case is still happening. There are details still coming out as of last week. This is an active investigation right now.
So this is going to be one of them leaving us on a cliffhanger. Here it comes.
Yeah. So this all started way back in 2015 in South Carolina, but it has now grown to the national media, and people are following this case very closely, and they're super invested.
Well, you guys are in luck. You know why? Because you have a profiler on the case who's probably going to wrap this whole thing up by the end of the podcast, and we're going to close the case.
I am interested in hearing your opinions on this one. So I've gotten multiple messages about this case in the last 2 weeks, and I just knew I had to cover it ASAP. I actually had a different case plan for this week, but once I got all those messages, I was like, you know what? I got to do this one because people are really invested. And it kind of reminds me of this show on Hulu. I mean, not the case, but just the fact that this is an ongoing investigation. If you guys haven't seen Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, it is so good. Steve Martin is in it, Martin Short. And it's honestly a cute show, but it's about an active investigation and these old guys and this young girl, Selena Gomez plays her, and they're doing a podcast on this active investigation. So
it's all right.
I really like it. I think it's cute. This story, like I said, is a true scandal. This is the crazy case of the Murdaugh family murders. Are you ready?
Yep.
So I got a majority of my information from this case from a listener of ours, actually.
Oh,
her
geez.
name is Fallon, and she described herself as, quote, like Jimmy Fallon, but not as famous. That's how she signed the email.
The name or as funny?
She's kind of funny, actually. She said some really funny things in this email that were cracking me up. I loved it. So she wrote me an email, and the subject line said, urgent, in all caps. So I had to read it. Fallon's email was awesome and so funny. She's from South Carolina, and her mom is a bartender in the area. So she gets to hear all the juicy local gossip about this. She really wanted me to tell you this case because not only is it literally unfolding as we speak, but it's like a freaking John Grisham novel. So she sent me a ton of links to Fitz News, which is a local news outlet down there. And then she also sent me a link to a podcast called Murdaugh Murders Podcast. A reporter named Mandy Matney does an amazing job with this podcast. I think
that's her real name.
Yeah, that's her name.
Mandy Matney.
Matney. Yep.
That's a very good stage name.
Yeah, it's her name. She's been investigating this family for over 2 years. So I'm going to give you an overview of this case because you kind of have a short attention span, no offense, and you'll probably lose track if I go way, way, way too deep.
Well, offense taken.
Well,
I appreciate the little jab at me while I'm sitting here giving you my undivided attention.
So if anyone listening wants a real deep dive, head on over to Murdaugh Murders Podcast for Mandy Matney's coverage of this and give her 5-star review and tell her we sent you.
And, if you have ADD, just stick around with me,
Yeah, it's true. But you don't even like multi-part docuseries. So that's why I'm going to give you a nice overview with some important details. But if anybody here wants a deeper dive, they can go over there and listen. The Murdaugh family is a dynasty in South Carolina's Low Country. Everyone kept saying Low Country when they talked about this area. So I had to look it up because being, living up in the Northeast and now being in New York for 12 years, I don't really know much about the South, to be honest with you. So I had to look up what the Low Country is.
I don't either. I always just assume there's a lot of pickup trucks out there.
True.
I like pickup trucks, but, I feel like they have more than us.
They do, yeah. So the Low Country is the southernmost part of South Carolina. And it's what I think of when someone says South Carolina, like what I picture. It's got like marshy land with like those big trees with the Spanish moss hanging off of them. Like how you imagine or how they portray South Carolina in movies and stuff. That's what the Low Country looks like. Well, this is where the Low Country specifically is where a lot of the plantations used to be. So the reason the Murdaugh family is a dynasty in South Carolina is because
they won back-to-back sports championships.
No. Is because for the last 100 years, they have had power over law enforcement and have a lot of influence over courtrooms. From the year 1920 to 2006, the Murdaugh men served as the solicitor of the 14th Circuit. So the solicitor is an elected official in charge of overseeing all the prosecutions of criminal cases. They are considered by many to be the most powerful in the South Carolina judicial system, similar to a DA, a district attorney. So they are the prosecutors, okay? So there are a lot of people in this area that will go so far as to say that the Murdaughs are the law in this part of South Carolina, which is a lot of power.
Yeah.
And absolute power corrupts, absolutely. So one thing that is weird about this family, among many things, is that although their name is spelled Murdaugh, which when you read it, you would think it would be Murdaugh, it's actually pronounced Murdaugh, like with a K on the end.
Oh, okay.
And the man at the center of this case, his name is Alex, but it's spelled Alex, and he pronounces it Alec.
Well, I'm assuming you're using the letter if it's there.
Yes, true. So after 2006, the Murdaugh family started their own firm. And this is when their money started influencing and corrupting courtrooms, right, to the next degree. It's a well-known fact that if you're going against the Murdaughs, you're going to lose. One of the Murdaugh boys is named Richard Alex Murdaugh, and he goes by Alec, like I said. He and his wife Maggie had 2 sons, Paul and Buster. On June 7th, just 2 months ago, June 7th, 2021.
Oh, now.
A couple months ago. Alec returned to his family's 1,700-acre hunting estate around 10 p.m., and he found his wife Maggie and his son Paul dead. 911 dispatchers received this phone call.
Hampton County 911, what's your emergency?
This is Alec Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to ambulance immediately. My wife and child got badly.
Okay, you said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
Sir?
You said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
Yes, sir. 4147 Moselle Road.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay? Okay.
Conner County Communications.
Carlton, I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line, caller from 4147 Moselle Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel. Oh. I caught.
Okay. And did you see anyone? Okay. Is he breathing at all?
No.
Is she? Okay. Do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What color is your house on the outside? What color is your house on the outside?
It's white. You can't see it from the road.
Okay. Is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay. And what is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
Okay. And did you hear anything, or did you come home and find them?
No, man. I've been gone. I just came back.
Okay. And was anyone else supposed to be at your house?
No, ma'am. Please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you. Okay. What is her name?
Maggie and Paul.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you. Me asking you these questions don't slow them down, okay? And you sure they're not breathing? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot, but what about your son?
Nobody's. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number? And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, I not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been en route with you ever since you got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you. Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I'd already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Oh. Ma'am, I'm going to call. I need to call some of my family.
Okay.
On this.
Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashes on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them.
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay?
And I will answer if you call.
All right.
Okay. So, what was your first reaction to that phone call?
They were fucking with him.
Yeah.
Like, you keep asking me the same question over and over, and I guess he's a southern boy who isn't going to be like, I told you that already, just get over here.
Yeah.
And then she asked him, what's the caller ID? My response would have been like,
what's the caller ID?
I mean, what's your phone number?
Oh.
I'm like, don't you have caller ID? Like, they're just messing with him at that point.
Maybe. I mean, they try to get a lot of information.
I would have hung up. I would have been like, I gave you the address already. We're not friends. Goodbye.
I know. The funny thing is, I wrote in my notes.
So annoying.
I wrote, first of all, I have to say, even in a moment of sheer tragedy, Southern people are so nice.
Yeah,
he was so nice. He kept saying ma'am and sir, and we're just not that nice at all.
Like someone, I could see someone in New York being like, "You're writing a fucking book? Just get over here."
Yeah, definitely. No, New Yorkers are not that nice. But a lot of people actually criticize this call, right? Not on the dispatcher, but criticize him.
I hate that because every time a call comes up, oh, I would have said this, I would have did this if I was really distraught. No one really knows how you would act. I hate that shit.
Yeah, and that's what I also wrote in my notes. They say that he's being overdramatic and fake.
Oh my God.
But really, I can't agree with that either. Like, what gives anyone the right to say if this is a dramatic phone call or not? Like, how do you know how you'd react if you find your wife and kid shot to death?
So you might be worse. You might not be able to talk. You might just be sobbing uncontrollably, or some people laugh when they're nervous, or
That's true,
so like who knows how you're gonna act.
I had a patient the other day who was in a traumatic situation, came in as a trauma into the ER, and he was laughing the whole time. And he was in a lot of pain and he was scared to death, but he kept saying, like, I just laugh when I'm nervous. I laugh when I'm nervous. And he kept laughing and cracking jokes because he was so nervous about all of us, being on him and putting him on the monitor and touching him and putting IVs in. He was really scared and he just was laughing the entire time.
Yes.
And he wasn't drunk or anything. It was just a reaction.
Yeah, so however you deal with it is how you deal with it, you know?
Exactly.
Because that could be you in that same circumstance with a real tragedy and someone saying just because the way you're emotionally reacting, you're guilty or you did something.
Yeah.
So right with all that, whatever he said on the phone call, I didn't get any guilty from him.
Okay.
But,
Right.
I
got a lot more story to tell, so
it's not
keep
over?
Going. Shut up. So, according to Fitz News, 22-year-old Paul Murdaugh, his son, was killed by a shotgun shot to the chest and head, whereas his mother, 52-year-old Maggie, which was Alec's wife, was shot multiple times with a semi-automatic rifle.
2 separate guns.
Very weird to have 2 different guns in the same double homicide.
Unless you have 2 people doing a robbery.
Yo, you're saying my entire script, bro. You're literally, my next sentence is the only answer I can say is it seems like there could be 2 shooters or one shooter trying to look like there's 2 shooters.
Fair point. But the script is always in my head, even though I never read it, because I'm very intuitive, as our medium listener says.
She did, yes. So South Carolina's Law Enforcement Division, also known as SLED, took over the case early on because the county sheriff's office has way too many ties to the Murdaugh family, and it's a conflict of interest. So early on in the investigation, Alec Murdaugh was considered a person of interest. But due to him having a pretty rock-solid alibi, he was ruled out early. Alec was taking his sick father to the hospital at the same time that his wife and son were being killed.
How long was he gone from home? He said he wasn't home. Was he like away out of town? Or
I just said he was taking his father to the hospital.
Oh, I thought like maybe he was out of town. So I got confused because earlier I thought you said he was like out of town.
No.
Where'd I get that?
I don't know. So, yeah, he was taking his father to the hospital, and the cops could confirm this. So the question is, who would want to kill Maggie and Paul Murdaugh? Well, it turns out maybe a few people. There are actually a number of deaths connected to this family. So after this double homicide, police started looking at any and all leads, right? And they realized that Alec's 2 sons, Paul and Buster, do not have a squeaky clean past. Back in 2015, in the early morning of July 8th, there was a young man named Stephen Smith who was apparently killed in a hit and run. Stephen's body was discovered around 4 a.m. lying in the middle of a road called Sandy Run Road, which is like a 2-lane road in Hampton County, South Carolina. But crime scene photos definitely make a lot of people question the legitimacy of a hit and run ruling, okay? Stephen clearly suffered blunt force trauma to his head. He had a 7-inch gaping laceration, like really big. Blood all over his head and face. And there was no signs of a vehicle. no tire skid marks, no broken glass, literally no signs of a vehicle at all. Plus, his clothes were still on. Like, he didn't have any problems or trauma with his body.
Oh, so there was like no scrapes or nothing?
Only his face, head, and I think his shoulder. And his shoes were still on, even though they were loosely tied. Whereas if you get hit by a car, your shoes that are loosely tied are probably going to fly off.
Most likely.
So there's a lot of issues with this hit and run ruling. And highway patrol officers, they kept returning to the scene of the crime to investigate this hit and run. But every time they found nothing to indicate a vehicle was involved. So they were totally stumped. The Murdaughs were not named suspects in his death. However, police received multiple tips linking Stephen's case to the Murdaugh boys. So Stephen was an openly gay man. Well, he was 19, so he was like an openly gay young man.
Wait, how long ago was this?
2015.
Oh, so still not so long ago. Because normally when you tell a story, like I picture it, and most stories in my mind are in black and white. So now I got to change the color, change it to a color TV.
That's so funny. Why?
I don't know, because it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
You don't like if you're telling me a story from 1920, I'm seeing the whole story's in black and white in my head.
Well, this was just in 2015, so turn on your color TV.
So I think it's like 720p definition back then. Maybe might not have been 4K.
Okay. Stephen, the kid who got killed in this supposed hit and run, he was an openly gay young man, and it had been rumored that he and one of the Murdaugh boys, Buster, were actually involved with each other. Stephen was a 19-year-old nursing student who had his whole life ahead of him. And his case went cold less than a year after his death. Stephen's family was rightfully completely outraged, and they believe that the mother believes that her son was beaten and left in the middle of the road, and this was not a hit and run. And she went so far as to have his casket open at his wake because she wanted everyone to see what someone did to her kid. Okay. So now, according to a man claiming to be Stephen's boyfriend, Stephen had been harassed by a group of guys in the area for a number of months. He was harassed for being gay, and they used to follow him around and threaten him, and they even would mess with his car all the time. So the night of his death, his car was actually found a ways down the road, and his stuff was still in there. So what they think was he either ran out of gas or something happened. His car broke down, and he was walking down the street after his car broke down, and then he got hit by a car. But that's kind of just the story that the police were putting out there.
Yeah. Wait, so his car had no gas in it?
I don't know if it didn't have gas or if it broke down, but it was found like a mile down the road. So what the police are saying is he got out of his car and he was walking to get help at like 4 a.m. and then got hit by a truck mirror, hit him in the face. That's what they said. One of Stephen's family members came out and said that people keep telling her that the Murdaugh boys were behind this killing, and that about a day or so after the killing, Randy Murdaugh, who is one of Alec Murdaugh's brothers, called Stephen's family and offered to take the case pro bono because he's a lawyer.
AKA on the arm.
Yeah, on the arm. With the deaths of Paul and Maggie in June, investigators decide to take another look at Stephen's case because, like I said, it had gone cold. It's been cold for the last few years, and only the family has been like begging for someone to reopen this.
I'm thinking, are they trying to put it on the Murdaughs, though? Because that's the only family that could get away with anything they want. So you kind of put it that way. Well, if anybody did it in this town and got away with it, it's them.
It could be. That could be the case. But a lot of people really feel like that they're scumbags and that they are capable of doing stuff like this because so many people say that these boys were involved in this kid's death, and other people say that Buster and this kid had like an intimate relationship. So yeah, I mean, that's also maybe the case. So with the deaths of Paul and Maggie in June, investigators decide to take another look at Stephen Smith's case, and they've decided to reopen it and they're currently investigating it right now. Stephen's family said to this day they don't know who killed him, but they have an idea. They think this family was involved. Murdaugh family was involved.
We can have an idea, but what are you basing it on? That's the thing, though. You need some type of evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you just go off of hunches like I do.
Exactly. You're the king of needing no evidence to just state a claim.
None of my claims put anyone in jail, though.
That's true. So in December 2018, Alec Murdaugh settled a wrongful death claim by a family of a woman named Gloria Setterfield. According to court documents, Gloria slipped and fell, which caused her death. Gloria was the Murdaugh family housekeeper, and she died in their home. And the family sued the Murdaughs for a wrongful death, and it was settled out of court. And that's all anyone knows about that. No one knows how she slipped and fell, what happened with it. But
very hard to just slip and fall and die, unless you're old.
She was not very old. She was in her 60s, and she had 2 sons, and she was a lovely lady, apparently. And there
Good
are a
old
lot
Southern Belle.
Yeah, there are a lot of rumors out there that the family, was involved in this death as well.
Wow.
But the biggest case that affected the Murdaugh family is the death of Mallory Beach. In February 2019, the Murdaugh family was really pushed into the limelight when 20-year-old Paul and a group of his friends went on a boat ride heading to an oyster roast. They left the Murdaugh Island. Yes, they have an island, which is crazy.
There's some real rich people stuff.
So, yes, they have an island, along with many other large and impressive properties in the area. So these kids were all heading to this oyster roast, and they stayed there for about 5 hours. And according to deposition documents, one of the guys in the group suggested that they all pitch in for an Uber because they were all really drunk. So Paul assured everyone that he could drive the boat back home, despite being super intoxicated. Video evidence from the dock shows the boat leave the dock at 1 a.m., and Paul was driving the boat super erratically. According to the deposition documents, one of the girls, Mallory Beach, said she was actually really scared, and Paul began yelling at her. Then Paul's girlfriend spoke up and told him he needed to stop. Like, pull this boat over. You need to stop driving. You're so drunk. And he proceeded to push her, spit on her, and smack her across the face.
I never had a boat, even though I want one. How do you pull a boat over?
I don't know, but you can just stop a boat.
That's not pulling over.
Stop.
There's no road where you could walk out. Like, let me out.
Well,
I'm
they
walking.
can go to the shore. I mean, they're in a river. They can pull off to the shore and get out of the boat. Well, while you were thinking about that, you missed the fact that Paul's girlfriend spoke up.
And she got spit on and hit.
She got spit on and hit. He hit and spit on her. What a scumbag. I'm sorry, but what the hell?
Yeah, no, I expected that from him. It didn't shock me.
Oh. Well, after entering Archer's Creek, Paul started driving the boat very fast because everyone was telling him to stop and he didn't want to stop. So he started driving it really fast. And seconds later, the boat ran into Archer's Creek Bridge. Mallory Beach and her boyfriend Anthony flew into the water, but only Anthony came back up to the top. Mallory's body would be later found 5 miles down the river. When police arrived, Anthony, Mallory's boyfriend, told the cops that Paul was the one driving the boat. But in the police report, it states that authorities were unsure who the driver was. Therefore, Paul did not have to take a field sobriety test, and he wasn't arrested that night.
Wow.
So currently, there is an obstruction of justice case against the Murdaugh family with regards to the death of Mallory Beach.
How about the cops who wrote down the wrong report?
I'm sure they will be.
They need to be part of that,
yeah,
too.
They'll probably be part of that, too. It took 3 months for Paul to be arrested for this, and there's apparently evidence missing in this case as well. And in May of 2019, Paul was ordered to stay within 5 counties of his home and he wasn't taken to jail despite now being charged with 3 felonies, and one of them being manslaughter.
Well, he would have got bailed out anyway, whether he was taken to jail or not.
I know, but it's just annoying that people who have money and power can not get the same treatment that regular people can.
Well, it's like the difference between having a lawyer and a public defender. Like when you have a lawyer that you pay for, it seems like they respect you more in court.
Well,
The judge gives you preferential treatment. Because also, I know for a fact, if you're in the bookings and you using a public defender, you go last. You're seen last. But if you have a lawyer, they pull you out of the cell and bring you straight to court. So you do get preferential treatment.
yeah, I know. But these people got preferential treatment just because they have a ton of money and because they are the law in the area.
Like Judge Dredd, I am the law.
So currently, the Beach family has a civil suit against the Murdaugh family for the wrongful death of their daughter, Mallory. And the hearing, listen to this, the hearing for this wrongful death case was supposed to occur on June 10th, 2021. But it was 3 days prior that Paul and Maggie were killed. So, according to the attorney for Mallory's family, this case required the Murdaughs to hand over a ton of financial information.
Oh.
And they're being subpoenaed for their documents. So let's recap. 2015, the death of Stephen Smith, right? Many sources say the Murdaugh boys were involved, and Buster Murdaugh and Stephen may have had an intimate relationship. 2018, the Murdaugh family housekeeper allegedly fell down the stairs and died, and the family filed a wrongful death suit against the Murdaughs that was settled out of court. 2019, Paul Murdaugh killed 19-year-old Mallory Beach while boating under the influence. And the Murdaugh family has now been accused of obstruction of justice in that case. And now we're back to 2021. Alec Murdaugh comes home and finds his wife Maggie and Paul dead. But wait, there's more. There's even more.
Jeez.
Last Saturday, September 4th, 2021, Alec Murdaugh called 911 dispatchers to say that he had been shot. Apparently, the shooting occurred 7 miles from their hunting estate, which is where he found his wife and son shot.
Okay.
He says that he was on the side of the road because he felt like he had a flat tire. So he got out of his SUV to investigate his flat tire, and he was down on his knee checking out his tire. And he was shot in the head.
What?
Okay. After the shooting, he was airlifted to a trauma center in northern Georgia and considered in stable condition because he was diagnosed with a superficial gunshot wound to the head.
Oh.
So a superficial gunshot wound is when a bullet of a gun doesn't penetrate the skull or the brain or the mouth or the nose or the eyes, like no orifice.
They missed him.
It
They
goes
nipped him.
skin deep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but nobody's going to fake that and just nip yourself in the head. He didn't do that to himself.
Really?
No way, because all you got to do is flinch and you're dead.
So it grazes the skin pretty much. That's what a superficial gunshot.
Yeah, maybe he
wound
did his
does.
arm or something, but I'm not believing the head. No.
You don't
way.
believe he shot himself?
No.
Interesting. A lot of people do.
Not in the head. If you flinch a little, you blow your head off.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
If you what if you sneeze in the middle of trying to shoot yourself? You cough.
If you sneeze,
You're like, you're about to pull trigger. That's it. It's over.
Okay.
No way. And there's a lot of bugs in the South. He could have flinched. A mosquito could have bit him.
So SLED agents were immediately put on this case to avoid a conflict of interest again, right? So the county sheriff's
They took
department,
their dog sleds right there.
the county sheriff's department didn't get involved because the Murdaugh family is so, influences them a lot. Not much else is known about this case except that, okay, are you ready for this? Here's another twist in this saga. As of Monday, September 6th, it came out that for the past, I don't know how long, but maybe a few months or a year, Alec had been battling an opioid addiction and that he was pushed out of his law firm for misuse of funds. Okay.
Just like our condo board over here.
And then on my birthday, September 8th, a knife was recovered that matches the object that apparently slashed Alec's tire, causing the flat, was recovered. But are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The knife that matches the one that slashed the tire belongs to Alec himself.
AKA Alex.
So did Alec slash his own tire? Did he slash his own tire and then shoot himself in the head but accidentally miss? And maybe he meant to kill himself, but then he grazed his head by accident? Or did he shoot himself in the head to show that he is also targeted, just like his wife and kid? There's a lot of questions here.
Well, I also was thinking when you spoke about him pulling over to see if he had a flat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's rich, and by law currently, so he's definitely driving a newer car because he's rich.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not rich and I have a new car.
Yeah.
They come with TPS sensors, which are tire pressure monitor, like tire pressure sensors. So you'll know if you have a flat. It'll give you the warning. So you're not pulling over for a flat because you would know you have a flat.
But would you pull over to look at your tire to see where the flat was coming from?
You would know you had a flat. So you would, well, you're going to stop because you can't drive with the flat. You would change it.
Yeah.
But he didn't pull over to check to see if he had a flat. He either knew he had a flat or he didn't. Because I have a Ford, and that sucker has a tire pressure sensor.
But do you think he pulled over to change his own tire? I mean, he's like
well, yeah, you got to stop.
multi-billionaire. Do you think he pulled over to change his own tire? Some people think, would a billionaire change his own tire?
Yeah, because it's you don't want to wait. It'll take too long.
Okay.
I'm a billionaire. Time is money.
Okay. So now, according to his attorney, Alec was investigating his slashed tire, and a pickup truck drove past him, did a quick U-turn, came back, and shot him in the head and then sped off. That's what his attorney is saying happened. According to Mandy Matney at Fitz News, police are very suspicious of this narrative being pushed by the Murdaugh attorney.
Now, are they suspicious? If this was an isolated incident and Alex's family didn't have all this mysterious deaths around him, would they think the same way about his case if it was an isolated incident?
I mean,
they're pairing it all together.
Yeah, of course you do. Why wouldn't they?
No one shoots himself in the head to try to... Because you can't practice shooting yourself in the head either. Like, I'm going to get really good at this.
I mean, you do present a good point, to be honest.
You mess up
with
one
you.
time, you're dead. You wake up dead instantly.
Yeah, no, you have a good point when it comes to that, actually. And I didn't even think of that before you said that. That why, if you were going to shoot yourself in the head and try to make it look like you're a target, and I mean, it's one thing to shoot yourself.
How much of your skull could you nip off? You don't get to practice. Like, oh,
true.
crap, last time I nipped my cerebellum.
Because we did talk about the case of Carrie Farver, a while ago, where someone someone gets shot in the leg. It was a while ago. Oh. And, it's one thing to shoot yourself in the leg, shoot yourself in the arm, but to do it in the head is a whole nother level.
Impossible.
Okay.
If you believe that, shoot yourself in the head and show me.
Theories. So this is what a lot of people, including our friend Fallon, thinks. This is a quote from Fallon's email. This is what she thinks happened.
Go ahead.
And she's there.
Did she say you could say it was her?
I did. I checked with her. She said it was okay.
Okay.
All right. Like I told you, her mom's a bartender in the area. She hears all
That's what scares me. Like, she's in that town.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. She said it was okay.
Fallon definitely carries a gun.
Quote, I think Alec killed his wife and son. I think he shot himself to make him look like a target and not a suspect. I think he and Maggie were going through a divorce, and she would get half of everything. All that land the hunting lodge is on, and he didn't want that. Maybe she found out about his mistress, and she didn't like that either because he apparently had a mistress that he was sleeping with.
Okay.
I think Alec was so angry at his son for all the fuck-ups that he killed him. This is one huge Southern bless your heart mess. You definitely need to read these articles. Tell Russ all about this. So many twists and turns. It's some crazy-ass shit. So I have to say, after all the stuff I read and watched and listened to, because it took me about 3 days to gather all this info.
Yeah.
I kind of co-sign this theory.
I co-sign it up until you shot yourself in the head.
Really? Okay.
I bet you I can't even find on YouTube where someone nips themselves in the head with a bullet on purpose.
Yeah.
And you can find anything on YouTube. Or go to World Star Hip Hop. There's all kind of crazy stuff there. And I never seen that.
So the other theory is that they have done a lot of dirt and someone that they screwed over wants them all dead. I don't really know, though, if I agree with this because why would they kill Maggie, the mom? Why not kill the brother Buster and Paul? Why not kill the men? Why kill Maggie?
Guilty by association, but he could have done it too.
So you think Alec could have done this?
It's not... Yeah, he could have done it. He could be part of it.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that he would kill his wife and son.
I don't know why. What's his motive? I mean, you said the cheating, like she said, and the mistress, and might be a divorce. That's a possibility when any spouse dies.
It is.
Because you're never going to know, because one of them is gone.
Yeah, I mean, we just watched the other day, remember? We watched on, I forgot what it was on, YouTube or something, this episode about this dude who his wife put a hit out on him, and so he faked his own death to catch her.
Oh, yeah, that was on Vice.
It was on Vice News, that's right. I mean, people kill their spouses all the time.
Yeah, they took pictures of him in a ditch with like a bullet wound.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. This is still unfolding, but it's a twisty, turny, crazy saga of a case. And I feel like this is definitely going to be made into a movie or a show. Oxygen is going to pick this case up and start covering it at some point. Like, this is huge.
I think more needs to come out before I can make a TV show out of this.
Okay. Well, I mean, they have a lot of power and a lot of money, and those types of people don't always go to jail.
I'll hit Oxygen up. We'll work it out.
So this is still unfolding, and we have to wait and see what happens. So that's it. I have no answers.
That's it?
That's it. We have to wait and see what happens.
Holy cliffhanger, Batman.
I know. So we're going to have to update everybody on this case as it unfolds.
Maybe we need to do like the crime family could do like a don't fuck with cats thing. We'll just all get on it.
Oh, that's a good idea. We can all be web sleuths together.
Yeah, I'm just going to put you guys on it and read it. I'm not going to do any of it.
He'll read it and give his unprofessional professional profiler opinion.
Yeah, and I would like to respond on the internet, but I don't. I mean, I respond, but I don't like responding because I make so many typos and I have to go back. I mean, other guys probably do the same thing. And then I'll do speech to text, and I must talk weird because it always like puts the wrong words in there. It's so annoying. Maybe
it's your accent, your Bronx accent.
Yeah, but this is how you're supposed to sound.
Oh, shut up.
Maybe there needs to be a button on the iPhone. Obviously, I use an iPhone. That, like, for different geographical areas for accents.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so Apple hit me up. I got another one. I'm like DJ Khaled. Another one.
So the sad part about this, though, is that Stephen Smith and Mallory Beach don't have justice. Their families don't have justice for their deaths of their kids because Mallory was killed by this kid, Paul. I mean, now he's dead, but who's going to pay for that? And like, Stephen Smith was killed and they called it a hit and run. It's clearly not a hit and run. Like, who's going to take responsibility for these kids' deaths? It's really, honestly, like, we joke throughout the podcast
I'm not
about
joking
random
about their
things,
deaths.
but obviously, Russ, but seriously, these people are dead and no one is taking responsibility for it. And I'm curious to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a section on YouTube where they like check on this. Or you know where? Reddit. Reddit has all that.
Oh yeah, Reddit. There's a ton of Reddit going on about this. So
I'm not getting on Reddit. I feel like you say one thing wrong and then these web sleuths will start investigating me.
True.
You investigate me, you'll just be bored. They'll be like, damn, he's at work again? This guy's always at work. He's so boring.
Well, definitely hit us up on Instagram. I want to hear your theories, especially if you guys have been following this. And, I want to hear your opinions on this case. Thank you to Fallon for your awesome email. And I'm excited to hear her thoughts on the episode because she was really wanting us to cover it. Okay, we're back to the future. We're in 2026 now.
Nah, I'm staying over here. It's better.
You're staying in 2021.
Things are way better over here.
So funny that you totally predicted the fact that Alec Murdaugh did not shoot himself in the head.
I hate to be the I told you so guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take the high road.
You were totally right. It actually ended up that they found out that he hired a guy named Curtis Edward Smith as a suicide for hire.
Wow.
And he hired him on September 4th, 2021. And the deal was he was supposed to shoot him in the head, and it was going to be his suicide because he hired someone to shoot him.
Yeah.
He was supposed to kill him, and that he was going to receive a $10 million life insurance payout.
The guy to kill him?
Yes, and the guy...
Shit, I would have shot him.
He grazed him.
Oh, my God. What was he? Where'd he get this budget-ass guy? That's the same one that tried to get Trump. They're just nipping people out here.
Yeah, he grazed his head, and he didn't die.
That's crazy.
And he found himself into this world of... I mean, look at him now. So he wanted to die. He said he was better off dead. And this guy was going to get $10 million. He was supposed to drive by as he was checking his tire and shoot him in the head. And he just grazed his head. And he survived. And then it ended up being like this superficial gunshot wound. And then all the stuff started coming out. I think Curtis, if I remember correctly, Curtis Smith was someone that would sell him drugs, because it came out that Alec Murdaugh, later after our episode, came out. I mean, I talked about him having an opioid addiction in the episode, but it came out that it was like a massive opioid addiction, that he had spent tons and tons of money on pills. And he even talked about it during the trial. When he was on the stand, he talked about the fact that he was on tons of pills at that time.
Wow.
So, really interesting stuff.
Yes, I mean, he didn't want to be in jail for the rest of his life, and he is.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a surprise if he commits suicide at some time during this sentence.
I mean, I don't know, because the defense did get this retrial. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this all pans out.
Yeah, they gave him some hope.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a murderer, like killing his family, he don't deserve hope.
No, not at all. He is a scumbag.
He deserves to meet the booty bandit.
Oh, God. All right, everyone. Well, we love you all, and have a wonderful week. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, Facebook at Wife of Crime The Crime Family, and ClutchDefenseCo.com, and Wife of Crime The Crime Family on Facebook. And how many more plugs do I have? Patreon at Wife of Crime Pod, and we will check you next time.
Damn, we got a lot going on.
We do.
All right, folks. Catch you next time.
Bye.